want to ask you something, and I want to challenge you to actually sit with it a second before you answer. Here it is. How has your peace been lately? Not your productivity, not your output, not whether things are going well or not. Your peace, that quiet underneath everything, that thing that's either there or it isn't, regardless of what's happening around you. For most people, and I mean most people, the honest answer is their peace is hostage. It's being held by something outside of them. The economy, the news, a relationship, a number they keep checking, their kids, their inbox, the price of eggs. And here's what I want to talk about today, because I think this is one of the most important things I've ever put into words. You are only as calm as your most recent problem. You are only as calm as your most recent problem, which means you're never actually calm. You're just between events, between problems. You're in the gap, waiting for the next thing to go sideways. And part of you knows it's coming, so you're not at peace. You're just on pause. That is no way to live. And today, I want to show you why that happens, what's actually going on underneath it, and what it looks like to change. I'm not talking about some spiritual bypass, not some toxic positivity, something real. This is a distinction 4 from my work. It's called attachment versus detachment. And the one sentence version is this: what you cling to is what owns you. So let's start with the price of gas or eggs or the stock market. Pick your thing. Pick the external thing that when it goes wrong, when it ticks in the wrong direction, when it's worse than it was last week, you feel it. You feel it in your body, you feel it in your mood, you feel it in how you show up for the people around you. Now here's the question I want you to set. Why does the price of gas have anything to do with your peace? I'm serious, think about it. You can't control it. You didn't set it. You have no leverage over it whatsoever. And yet, a lot of people wake up, check the news, see something that frustrates them, and that's it. The day is colored. It's over. The mood is set. The peace is gone before they've even had their first cup of tea. Why does that happen? Because somewhere along the way, you built a wire, a direct line between what happens out there and how you feel in here. And that wire, that cable, that tether is so automatic, so invisible, so woven into the way you operate, that most people don't even know it's there. They just think that's how feelings work. The world goes badly, you feel badly. The world goes well, you get to feel well. But that's not actually how feelings have to work. That's just how they work when you're attached. In attachment, this is the thing I want you to really hear. Attachment is not the same as caring. They're different. That's the confusion. People think that if they let go of the attachment, they're letting go of caring. They're not. Those are two different things. And I'll come back to that in a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about what's actually happening when you're attached to an outcome. Because I think the word attachment can sound kind of soft, maybe, kind of unclear or vague, like something you'd hear in a meditation app. And I don't really mean it that way, because here's what's actually happening psychologically when you need something to go a certain way in order for you to be okay. You see, your nervous system has linked that outcome to your survival, not metaphorically, actually. So some deep part of your brain, the part that's been running threat detection since before humans had language, has decided that if this thing doesn't go right, you're in danger. And so it does what it does. It mobilizes, it puts you on alert, it starts scanning, it keeps you in this low-grade state of vigilance that never fully turns off because the thing you need hasn't happened yet, or it happened and now there's a new thing, or it happened and it still didn't give you what you were looking for. Right? Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a quarterly sales target and a predator in the bushes. It It just knows you're behaving like something critical is at stake. So it treats it that way. This is why attachment is so exhausting. You're running a full survival program over things that are not life or death. You're burning resources, burning energy, burning presence, and on outcomes you mostly can't control. And your body is paying the bill. And the cruelest part of it all, the thing you're attaching to, even when it goes right, doesn't give you what you've been looking for or what you're hoping for. Now, I've worked with enough people to know this pattern cold. They hit the number, they get the thing, they achieve the milestone they've been chasing for 2 or 3 years. And there's a moment, maybe a few hours, maybe a day or two, where it feels great. And then the feeling fades. And they're already looking at the next number, the next milestone, the next thing they need to happen before they can finally exhale. That's not ambition, that's attachment. And those are very different things. Let me tell you about someone I worked with. I'll call him Marcus. Now, Marcus came to me because his doctor told him to. His blood pressure was dangerously high. His cortisol levels were, through the roof, and he was in bad shape. He was heading towards something bad. And he was only 46 years old. He ran a sporting goods store. His father had started it in like 1978 or 79. And Marcus had taken it over 12 years earlier. He'd grown it from 1 to 3 locations, had 18 employees, a real community reputation. And now, by any reasonable measure, it was a success. But Marcus did not feel successful. He felt like he was barely hanging on. I asked him to walk me through his day. And so he was up at 5. He checked the numbers from yesterday, the sales, the margins, the inventory. He was at the store by 6:30, and he was there until 7 or later every evening. He was checking security cameras at all 3 locations before he went to bed. He checked the numbers again. He even told me that sometimes he would wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and grab his phone and check the numbers again. And, I asked him, what are you looking for at 2 in the morning? He said, problems, I guess, things that might go wrong. When do you think about the business? Long pause. I don't know if I ever don't think about it at all. His wife had stopped asking him to be present at family dinners because he was always on his phone. His daughter had a soccer game the previous weekend, and he watched most of it through the security camera app, making sure his evening staff was handling the Saturday rush. He was physically there, but he wasn't actually present, and everyone knew it. Everyone could feel it. I asked him about the numbers. What was he trying to hit? He said $2.5 million. They'd done 2.2 the previous year. I asked him what happened when he hit 2 million. He looked at me and said, what do you mean? I don't understand. I said, was there a moment when you hit the $2 million mark and felt like you made it? Like you could relax? He said, no, it was good, but then I was already focused on 2.2. He didn't finish the thought. He didn't even have to. See, this is the trap. The number is never the thing. What Marcus was actually chasing was a feeling. The feeling that he'd done enough, that the business was safe, that he could finally stop holding his breath. He believed that feeling lived on the other side of the number. It doesn't. It never does. When you're attached to an outcome, hitting the outcome does not release you. It just moves a target. You're not climbing a mountain with a summit. You're on a treadmill that speeds up every time you match its pace. I asked Marcus one question that really hit. I said, if the business did $2.2 million every year for the next decade, no growth, no decline, would that be okay? He tensed. No, you grow or you die. I said, says who? Your dad ran one store for 25 years. Same store. Did he die? Marcus went quiet. His father had handed him something precious, a business that meant something, that served the community, that had survived when so many other local shops had just disappeared. And Marcus felt the weight of that inheritance every single day. He thought honoring it meant grinding like his dad did, sacrificing like his dad had. His dad had worked 60-hour weeks and had a heart attack at 52. Marcus was on that exact same path. The shift for Marcus wasn't about working less or caring less. And let me be really clear about that, because this is where people misunderstand what I'm talking about. The shift was about changing his relationship. He could still want to do the $2.5 million in revenue. He could still want his employees to perform well. He could still care deeply about the business his father built, but he had to stop needing those things in order to feel okay, in order to feel safe. The difference between wanting and needing, I believe this is everything. When you want something, you can pursue it with clarity. You can assess what's working. You can make adjustments. You can stay flexible. When you can stay present. When you need something, you stay in survival mode. You grip, you grasp, you obsess. You check the numbers at 2 a.m. because some part of your brain has decided that your safety depends on it, that you're in danger. Wanting is clean. Needing is desperate. And desperation is not a strategy. Marcus started to practice noticing when he was attached. And the tell was always the same. A tightness in his chest, a compulsive need to check something, a feeling that he couldn't relax until some condition was met. When he noticed it, he'd ask himself, what do I think I need to be okay right now? And is that actually true? Usually it wasn't. Usually he was already okay. He just didn't feel it because he was so focused on the gap between where he was and where he thought he needed to be. He started leaving his phone in another room during family dinners. He didn't check the cameras after a certain time, I think 7 or 8 o'clock. He started taking Sundays off, something he hadn't done in years. One day he came in and told me his daughter had asked him to come to her soccer game. Not his wife asking, his daughter. And he said, and she said, Dad, will you actually watch this time? He said yes. He went. He watched the whole thing. Didn't check his phone even a single time. His daughter scored a goal, and she looked right at him after, made sure that he saw it. He saw it. Now I want to address the thing I know some people are thinking right now, because it comes up every time I talk about this. Clay, isn't this just giving up? Isn't detachment another word for just not caring? I don't want to become someone, I don't want, who just floats through life without any drive. That's what people say. And I hear that. And I want to be direct with you. That is a complete misunderstanding of what detachment actually is. Detachment is not indifference. It is not, I don't care what happens. It's not passive. It's not surrender. Here's what it actually is. I care deeply, and I'm not going to let my peace depend on a specific outcome. You can want the promotion without needing it. You can work toward a goal without being destroyed if it doesn't happen the way you planned. You can love someone fully without requiring them to behave a certain way for you to feel okay. That's not cold, that's freedom. And here's the counterintuitive part. It often leads to better outcomes because you're not operating from desperation. You're operating from clarity. You can see what's actually in front of you. You can make real decisions instead of reactive ones. You can trust other people instead of white knuckling every single outcome yourself. Marcus's revenue actually ticked up that year, not because he was working more, because he was working clearer. He had bandwidth for strategy now. He had room to see opportunities he'd been too frantic to notice. His manager stepped up because he finally gave them room to do so. Detachment doesn't make you less effective. In most cases, it makes you more. So let's bring this back to the price of gas. The world is genuinely unstable right now as I'm filming this. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. The economy, the news, the things that feel like the ground just keeps moving underneath you. Some of that is real. And I'm not here to tell you to just think positive thoughts and, ignore all the bad stuff, put your head in the sand. What I'm telling you is this. You can hold all of it and still not be broken by it. You can be angry about the price of eggs and still be okay inside. You can care deeply about what's going on in the world without letting it own your nervous system. Feeling something and being owned by it are two completely different things. That distinction, feeling it versus being owned by it, that is the whole game. That is distinction 4. That is what I'm going to be going deep on in the upcoming workshop. Because here's what's available on the other side of it. Not less care, more freedom. Not lower standards, clearer act. Not giving up on what matters, finally being able to enjoy it. The treadmill stops. You can achieve something and actually feel it. Celebrate it. Let it be enough, at least for a moment. You get your life back. The attention you've been spending on monitoring outcomes, it becomes available for everything else. Your family, your health, your actual experience of being alive in the world. Your relationships change. People feel the difference between someone who needs something from them and someone who's simply present with it. That's a different kind of relationship entirely. And maybe the biggest thing, you can finally enjoy what you built. Attachment keeps you focused on the gap. What's missing, what's wrong, what's not right, what still needs to happen. Detachment lets you see what's actually there. And often, what's there is pretty darn good. Here's where I'll leave you today. Think about the thing you keep checking. The number, the metric, the account balance, the inbox, whatever it is. And ask yourself an honest question. Is checking it actually giving you useful information? Or is it giving you reassurance? Because those are not the same thing. If it's reassurance you're looking for, the information is not going to do it. The reassurance you're looking for isn't the number. It never was. It's the relationship you have with that number. And that relationship is something you can actually change. That's the work. It's not stopping caring. It's not, stopping checking forever. You change your relationship to the outcome so that your peace isn't relying on it. You can feel it without being owned by it. That's it. That's the distinction. Now, if this landed with you, if you felt something shift even a little bit while you were talking, while I was talking, I want to invite you to go deeper. I'm running a live workshop in exactly this material. We're going to spend real time with this. We're really going to dig in. We're going to work through it. We're going to look at where it's actually showing up in your life and what it looks like to change it. The link is going to be in the description below. And if you're not quite there yet, that's totally fine. Just subscribe to this channel, stick around. I'm going to be posting more content, and there's a lot more of it to come. And anyway, I'll see you in the next one.